You know, sometimes books can just be thrilling. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today I've got another video for you, but before we get to that video, make sure you're liking and subscribing, hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. Also, make sure you're checking that description box down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord, as well as links to all my social media and information about my Patreon. And this is kind of like a viewer-requested video. I do these occasionally where, like, if you say something in the comments of one of my video and it makes me think, I will do a video on it. And recently, I actually forget which video this was in, but the commenter was Bryce. So Bryce, this is all thanks to you. He wanted to know some recommendations of some books that kind of like had explosive like endings or like had that big, you know, cinematic feel, kind of like the, you know, the MCU and things of that nature. And I was like, oh, you know, that's a great idea. Like, what books? Because, you know, sometimes we like to read really thrilling stories, and that can be really engaging and really exciting. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. Like, let's talk about some pulse pounders. Ah! You know, just the fist pump. You know, sorry. Anyway, I figured I would talk about, you know, 10 with an honorable mention. And for me, like, I'm going to start here. We're going to do the honorable mentions last. But for me, M.L. Spencer's Dragon Mage. It's just one of those stories that kind of builds and builds and builds. This was initially meant to be a standalone. And while it's like structurally not perfect, by the time you get to the final encounter, you have so much anxiety. You're just like, what's going to happen? This battle's intense. Oh my god! Ah! And I love that Dragon Mage gave me those feelings, and I just absolutely love these. If you like a lot of excitement and some really intense battles, I think the end of Dragon Mage is one that will not disappoint. And then, speaking of explosive magic and just epic battles and giant, almost kaiju-like monsters, we gotta talk about Larry Correia's Hard Magic. And frankly, you could probably put in Monster Hunter International here as well. But I'm gonna go with this because it's a trilogy. And I think each entry in this series is just so explosive. And at times, like, you're like leveling city blocks. At one point, there's like monsters in New York. It's absolutely wild. This is so thrilling. Like, there is just stuff in here that like was so creative. The way the magic works with like airships and like this is kind of like an alternative history setting type of deal. And I remember some combat moments where I was just like, oh my god! Ah! Ah! And it's been years since I read this series, and it has just stayed with me. Yes! Yes, please! Absolutely. And I couldn't talk about Pulse Pounders without talking about a little bit of Cradle. Cradle is just so good. Like, I mean, the battles, the fights, the level up. Just, this is what progression fantasy does, is you're just getting stronger and stronger with bigger and badder battles. Man, it is so intense. Like, by the time we get to Dread God, like, I can't imagine what Dread God's gonna have in it, because, like, the Dread Gods are just, like, continent shatter. Like, they just break continents with their very existence. And it's just so pulse pounding, like, watching them fight these things and fight each other. Cradle, each novel just gets more and more and more and more and more intense, and I love it! Next, you know I had to include Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. This series is intense. I mean, we've got gladiator battles in this one, but then we've got combat, we've got wars, we've got space battles, we've got just all sorts of intrigue. And, like, the stuff that happens, especially in Howling Dark, the end of Howling Dark, like, just blew the back of my skull off with how intense and just climactic and just, oh my god, it's just so good. Like, I don't want to ruin the surprise, and if I keep talking and spewing my word vomit, I will ruin this surprise. So, Sun Eater makes the list. It is super intense and really good. And then, of course, you know Sanderson had to make the list, and he makes it twice. once with an honorable mention. The honorable mention, because we don't know how this is going to end yet, is the Stormlight Archive. Especially, I should have held up Words of Radiance. Because Words of Radiance, that ending scene, or Oathbringer. Oathbringer could do it as well. Those ending scenes are so cinematic that, like, I could just see them being, like, animated or in some fashion. Just Kaladin and Dalinar and all of these great characters are just so intense that they jump off the page during these great giant battles, and it's well worth your time, especially if you're looking for something that is absolutely pulse-pounding. Love them! Love them! I don't know why I'm so loud. You'll have to forgive me. Of course, the honorable mention... No, that was the honorable mention. The one that makes the list officially is Mistborn. And I know this can be kind of controversial, but, like, I love the kind of just the way that this series wraps up. What's the last one? Was that... the Hero of Ages. The way Hero of Ages wraps up, the arc that we see Vin go through in this trilogy is so worth it. I love it because we get to see her kind of come from street urchin to freedom fighter to just all of these new roles that get thrust upon her, and she kind of grows. As her legend grows, her power grows, and she just alters the fate of her world. And I think that is so cinematic, and I think it would really work well as either a video game or a just giant cinematic movie. That would be so cool! So cool! Yes! Alright. Now, this one, of course, works because it's been adapted into a TV show. And I say that these are constantly blockbuster. They don't make a lot of sense, but they're definitely blockbuster worthy. These are intense books. Even if what's happening probably shouldn't be taking place logically, like the story needs a little bit of fine-tuning, which is, I think, what they did with the TV show, because I hear nothing but good things about the TV show, The Expanse. These books, like, they're fun, they're intense, and, like, they're explosive. Like, when stuff happens and it all comes together, it's just big bang all over the place, in your face, like, it's just a beautiful disaster, and I think that's cool. Alright, and I'm currently on my reread of this one. I don't exactly know, but I'm going to tell you what, Drawing of the Three, The Wastelands, and Wizard and Glass, these are just so explosive. They're so weird, they're so different, they're genre-defying, they're mismatches. We've got, like, westerns, we've got sci-fi, we've got fantasy, we've got everything, we got horror. These are meant to be weird. And you know what? Like, I think someday we'll get a good adaptation. The movie wasn't bad. In fact, this is the motion picture edition. I think the movie was okay. I think they tried to do too much with too short a time, and they just tried to mash it together. I think there was going to be a TV show, but it fell through. So I'm fingers crossed that they keep trying for it, because I think it could be absolutely explosive with The Dark Tower. And then we've got two left. I think these two would be absolutely awesome. The Shadow of What Was Lost, this is Lycanius. Lycanius is an interesting one because it's super complex and convoluted and all over the place and in your face. But I think it could work. I really do. I don't really want to talk about it because this is a really, really unique story that I think not enough people are reading. It's complex, but it's fun and interesting and has some really interesting elements that you don't see in a lot of other fantasy. And then to close this list out, I think Faithful and the Fallen would be absolutely great as a series of just in-your-face cinematic moments. I mean, the final book in this quartet is explosive, and it's so good, guys, that, like, when you're looking for a pulse pounder, I mean, Makin is a boss! Yes! Yes! Guys, I would love if you could tell me some of the books that you reach for when you need a good pulse pounder. Something to get that heart a-fluttering, a-faster. I should have done it over here. I know the heart's over there. I don't know why I didn't. But that said, guys, that is my list, and I would love to know yours. Please let me know in the comments down below. That said, guys, that is all I have for you. So, till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.